out of Korea.
Okay.
You were a pilot. You were flying photo reconnaissance. You were flying what kind of an aircraft?
Well, we had Banshees and F-3Ds and Corsairs, and what else did we have there? F-3Ds, yeah, Corsairs, Banshees, F-86s escort. Well, they were escorts, and F-9s were escorts.
So you would fly up into North Korea, or
Yeah,
what?
we'd go out from K3, which is right on the ocean, and I've got a picture of K3 in my album over here, by the way. And we would go out once a week, and we'd fly up North Korea and take photos and come back, and we made one map every week, one map each week, a large map with all of the different mosaic photos and stuff we'd take, and then we'd cut with razor blades and we'd put them all together, and then we'd take in our lab, in our Quonset hut down there at K3, we'd take a picture of the week before and this week. And then we'd take those two, and we'd take the one from the week before, and we'd move it over, and it was gone, back to Washington, D.C., and that was reconnaissance for the intelligence people in Washington, D.C. Then they would contact us back there at the base, and then the F-86s and the F-9s, and then we'd fly up there, and they'd escort us, and then they'd fly down, and they'd destroy the bridges. They'd wait till something was just about built or finished, and then they'd blow it up. That's what...
Well, when you were doing your missions, was anybody ever shooting at you?
Oh, they were shooting at us. Oh, yeah. They'd shoot us, especially when we'd get low altitude. See, we flew... Sometimes we'd fly down real low where they couldn't get us on radar. And we'd be buzzing around through the mountains like that. And we'd be going 400, 500, 600 miles an hour sometimes, you know, not always that fast, but sometimes. But then other times we'd fly real high and we'd stay out over the Sea of Japan, and then we'd go zip in there, and we were not supposed to be actually over the land, but we're doing reconnaissance for the United States Marine Corps and all the armed forces people. That's what, you know, it was top secret material, and we couldn't talk to anybody about it or anything at all.
So, did you keep up your flying after you got out of the
I
service?
did, yeah. I flew after I got out. I bought an airplane when I got out of college, and I got enough money, and then the first plane that I bought was a Stinson, a one called a 1083, and I kept that for a couple of years, and I sold that to a fellow up at Gardner, actually, and then I bought another aircraft, and then I had a total of 5 different aircraft over quite a few years of time, and I used to take people. They would ask me, they'd want to go down to Nevada to get married or whatever, because you can get married down there in one day, see, you know, and so I'd fly them from Livingston or Bozeman or wherever I'd meet them at, and fly them down to Elko. We'd go to Elko.
Mm.
And then they'd get married, and then they'd pay for everything, and then I'd fly them back, and
That's fun.
that was, and then I'd fly people other places. I'd take them out North Dakota, go back to Michigan, wherever they wanted to go. I'd take them there, and then I'd go get dogs and cats and stuff for them too, and birds sometimes, you know, like canaries and parrots.
Pets? You mean go get their pets for them?
Yeah,
Huh.
I'd go like, oh yeah, they'd buy a dog that was down in Boise, Idaho, or a parrot, which is maybe, I can remember going down to Riverton, Wyoming, and yeah, and then I'd put them in the plane with me, and away we'd go. Now some of them I didn't know what was going to happen. It was kind of, not the parrots or the little birds, because they were in a little cage, but some of these, like especially the dogs, they didn't have really good dog kennel things, whatever you want to call it, to put them in then. And sometimes they'd come out there, somebody had bought a dog, let's say down at Boise, somebody was going to, at Livingston or Gardner or someplace, going to buy a dog, and they didn't want to drive all the way down there, so they'd say, well, get Les, he'll fly down there and get it, bring it back. And so that's what I do. But I can remember 2 or 3 times of this one guy come out there with a young police dog. It was not quite mature, but it was better than a year old, year and a half, whatever it was, and I didn't know how they were going to act, especially when they were going to take off and stuff. You didn't know what they're going to do. But the worst thing I ever had happen, I landed on the sod. You know what the sod is, not the hard runway strip. at Livingston there, and that one dog poodled on my on the floor. When I because the plane went brrrr,
Oh, yeah.
and it scared him, and he
Yeah.
pooped on the floor. So, but the good news was the guy's wife and the guy that had bought the dog, I told him what happened. I had to put the windows down and everything because it was stinking in there pretty good, and I taxied up there and I parked, got out, and I told him, I said, come here, I'll show you what your dog did, and they cleaned it up better. My plane smelled good for 6 months.
Okay, now when you work for the Forest Service, obviously, so when did you first start working for them?
About 19, let's see, first time I ever worked was, I was between sophomore and junior high school, about 1950.
And what were you doing for them?
Trail work, lookout work, fighting the fires and planting trees.
And where was that?
That was out of Vancouver, Washington.
And what forest?
The Gifford Pinchot Forest.
Okay, and then you came out of the service, you went to the university, and sometime while you were at the university you started working with the Smokejumpers.
Yeah, that was when I had a choice, either to be a fireman engineer on the railroad or go out and smoke jump. So I did that, and that was 1959.
And what did you just fill out an application? And,
yeah,
and
I just went out there. Yeah, I went out there and filled out an application, walked in, sit down there in the office out there, and they looked at me and wrote everything down. What can you do? Da da da, and so forth. And they said that's good enough for us. And then they called me the next morning. Then.
Is that right? So did you have any trouble with the physical part of it?
The which part of it?
The physical part, the physical fitness part?
No, I was very physical. The people there out there already knew about me because one or two of the guys there, George Cross was one of the physical teachers there at U of M, but the people at the Forest Service out there, they already knew about me because they watched me play ball and stuff.
Okay.
They already knew about me, and that went on forever. And I had an incident that happened there at the Smokejumper base. I guess telling good, bad, otherwise. This was a funny thing that happened. And I've almost been. Is that going okay still? Mm-hmm. Whereby times I almost got killed. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of them, and one of them I wouldn't have got killed at this one, but I'll tell you what happened. I was the next guy up, forthcoming. And when we smoke jumped there at Missoula, I'll tell you what, we went through everything you could think of.
What do you mean?
Well, exercises, we'd go out and run all the way down the runway and back in the morning time. We'd come back, do our physical stuff and go practice with our going and doing our jumps and stuff. And they had a great big rope, about yay big round, with a big knot on it. And we'd climb up on this tower and we'd hook that to our bungee cord things here, and we jump off that thing, and that rope would go up over top of a wheel, and it would hit and go boom, and bounce you up and down. Then a couple of guys would get a hold of you and let you down. And underneath that, right where your feet had come down, even if you were 6 foot tall or 6'2" or 3, they didn't like to have guys great big because they wanted them 140 pounds, maybe to 190 or something in that bracket of weight-wise. And so the guy ahead of me, believe it or not, he got up on that thing. We'd go do this all the time. All those, we'd do exercise, and we'd go out and we'd jump off on that thing with the big knot in it, with the rope there. The great big rope was that big around. And it was pretty exciting. It was kind of scary at first, for the first time. The ones that were just starting to do it had never done it before. It was pretty spooky. But, we'd watch somebody, okay, I can do that. So we'd get up there and they'd hook it on, you jump off. Well, I was the next one coming up. The next one. Well, this guy ahead of me, and I don't remember his name or where he was from, he jumped off up there, and I was standing right behind him, and guess what? That big rope broke.
Oh.
And he went right through the canvas that was down below, because it'd go down like this and come down, and it'd hit the end of that big rope. And then you'd bounce like that, and then you'd be hanging there, and they'd grab a hold of you. Two guys down there on the little platform, grab a hold of you, pull you over, and they'd unhook you, and then they'd wheel it back up, and the next guy'd go. Well, guess what? I was the next guy coming, but the guy before me was the one where the rope broke.
What happened to him?
And 59, and it broke both his legs.
Whoa.
I mean, he went through that canvas and everything else. Well, guess what? I was the next guy coming up. It would have been me.
Yeah, that's close.
Oh my! And
So did you have any incidents when you were actually fire jumping?
Oh yeah, there was. I went. Yeah, there was a bunch of them. In particular, over the Sawtooth Mountains down in Idaho. I bailed out with another guy down there one time, and we were in the Beechcraft. And I actually scooted out in the Beechcraft. You put your feet out on the step. You remember that?
Sure.
Okay. I keep forgetting that you used to jump. So
yeah, we used to put one leg out and one kneel on one.
You put the first one you put out goes up against the little
the
thing.
step.
Yeah, if you put the other one out, that don't work.
Yeah.
See, I remember that too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so I get out there and we're going around and make a pass. We drop the well, not flares, but the
streamers.
The streamers down. Yeah, and that's all covered. So we're coming around again, and the other guy had already jumped out. He jumped first, and he went down. Everything was fine with him. And I scooted over there, had my chute all tied up in the whole bundle, and I got clear scooted out there. And this one guy named Fowler was his name, Jack Fowler, or his last name was Fowler, Fowler. So he's my spotter down here, laying on the floor, and he's the one going to pat me on the rear or the shoulder when I jump. Well, we come around, the plane just started to let the engine down on that Beechcraft, and for whatever reason it was, we were only about 800 feet, because the way this was there was a bunch of peaks right around there and a bunch of snags down below, and it was not the best situation, and we didn't think anything about that. We could just about do anything. So we come around, and they cut the motors down, and they start slowing down, and I turned and I looked like that. I turned and glanced back, and believe it or not, my static cord was laying on the floor of the plane.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, no, I know that was not good. So, yes, that was not good, okay? I mean, this is one of the things that happened. So, when I saw that, I don't know how I looked in my face because there was nobody there to look at me. And Fowler was looking out like that and going to pat me. Well, and so I just pushed my rear end back like this, and flopped back like that, and then Fowler, he kind of went like this. He reared up over here and he looked at me, and then I went like this. I pointed, and he went, ah. If I would have jumped,
yeah, no time to do the reserve.
no time to do the reserve or anything, I don't think. And then on that particular jump, then we got it all hooked up. And we come around again. Everything's going good. Come around, and I bail out. The same altitude and everything, 800 feet, whatever it was. And I'm coming down doing fine. We had round chutes then, no square ones at all, okay? And so I had the right chute. I had a 28-footer instead of a 32-footer. I'll tell you a little bit more in a second about that too. But anyway, I'm coming down and I'm trying to guide myself down through these great big 3 huge snags there. And my other buddy Jumper, he was already on the ground, and he was kind of helping me, move over and signaling me to go this way. I was trying the best I could do. So I got hooked up in one snag, and I kind of came down, and there was another huge snag, fir tree, about yay big around, a couple of feet through, and all the bark was off. Could have been there for years and years, and it was sort of slick on that thing, and I kept my feet together. I knew, you do that because you don't want to change your voice, and so I slide down. I hit that snag that was tilted up against the other 2, and I slid down that backwards real fast. My chute collapsed then, of course. I went boom, and I hit the ground like this on my rear end, and when I did that, I bit my tongue real bad. I bit my tongue. Now that turned out to be a miniature disaster. Well, as time went on then, I had bit my tongue and I was spitting blood out, and this other guy, he thought I broke my neck, and I was fine. I told him I'm okay, I just cut my tongue and stuff. No, nothing to it. Well, we got over and started putting the fire out that we were supposed to do our job then, and it wasn't even a half an hour, 40 minutes after we got that initial fire put out. Here come all the black clouds and stuff, and here come another big thunderstorm. So I think this guy's name was Brett, and I said, listen, Brett, we got to get into those rocks here. The lightning's going to get us. He says, yeah, you're right.